Hello, and welcome to Longwood GradCast, Beyond a Degree. I'm your host and Assistant Dean of the College of Graduate and Professional Studies, Dr. Sarah Tanner Anderson. In this series, we'll dive deep into the stories of Longwood University's graduate and professional studies alumni, students, and faculty who are achieving remarkable success. Whether you're an aspiring graduate student, a proud alum, or simply curious about the extraordinary journeys our Longwood graduates take beyond their degree, this podcast is your backstage pass to the transformative power of education coupled with determination. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and awed by stories that prove there are no limits to what a Longwood Lancer can achieve. Welcome back to Longwood GradCast Beyond the Degree. I'm your host, Sarah Tanner Anderson, and I am excited to welcome Judy Deichman, an alumna from our school librarianship master's program. Welcome to the podcast, Judy.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here and to share my love of Longwood.
We're so excited to have you. And Judy, we're going to get into all of the amazing things that you do. But first, let's set the scene. Can you walk us through the moment when you realized that libraries were more than just a passion, but also a career path for you?
So I volunteered at all of my children's schools. I have 5 children, and I volunteered at their schools just to be a part. And I started volunteering in the school libraries on a regular basis and talking to the librarians and working with the students when they came in, trying to find a book. It just like a light bulb moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I was meant to do. This is where I was meant to be. So 2 of the librarians I was speaking to in one of my children's middle school, both of them had attended Longwood and gotten their certificate from Longwood University. And they were like, you can do that too. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. And I was in that middle school for 10 years because I have 5 children. So I was like a lifer there helping in that school library for the longest time.
That's fantastic. And we love our ambassadors out there, right? Our alumni are really our ambassadors out there. So it's amazing that you had that connection both with your children and also with the librarians out in your children's libraries. You've mentioned that kind of helped lead you towards Longwood School Librarianship graduate program. So how did that program then shape your approach as a librarian once you were in a library of your own?
So my experience at Longwood University in the school librarianship program was amazing. Of course, I met Dr. Audrey Church first and applied to get in the program. And she was just so welcoming and so helpful because I'm a career switcher. So my undergrad degree is in accounting. So I had a whole lot of education classes that I needed to take along with the school library program classes. And she was just amazing as far as being calming and giving advice and letting me know what I needed to do and how I needed to proceed. And I also wanted to do it very quickly. So they were very helpful in helping me get all those classes that I needed to take.
I agree with you. Dr. Church is pretty amazing, as are all of the program faculty in the school librarianship master's program. One thing that I know just from working here at Longwood and knowing so many folks in that program is that you all have a really incredible alumni base, a very close-knit opportunity to network with lots of different folks out there in the field. So how is that tight-knit SLIB alumni base help to impact your professional development and also your career?
So it was like a lifeline. My first librarian job, I was in a school with just myself, no other librarians. I was a single librarian, and we had no supervisor, no centralized supervisor, very small rural district. So that tight-knit group of folks that I was able to reach out to for help and advice and just a sounding board was amazing because I met so many folks while I was getting my certificate and getting my master's of education that it really became, like I said, a lifeline. When I would have issues, I had nobody to talk to or nobody to ask. And so that group and everybody is just, especially in education, they're very helpful. We talk about we don't steal, we just borrow their ideas and use them in our own educational experiences. But it was truly a lifeline for me. I was in Nottoway County for 10 years, and it's a very rural county. And I really relied on my Longwood community to help me go through everything and guide my lessons.
That's excellent. And when I think of Judy, I think of the Lit Limo project. And so I'm really excited for you to share with our listeners a bit about that project. But out on social media, out in the communities, you're making such a difference in libraries and just the love of reading with our children and also with your colleagues. So I know a little bit about the Lit Limo project, but I would love for you to share. It's an innovative and impactful initiative. Can you tell our listeners what that Lit Limo is and maybe what inspired the idea, how it came about?
Sure. So the Lit Limo is actually my second book bus. I actually started one when I was in Nottoway County because I was opening the library in the summer for my students to come in and get books, but they didn't have transportation. They couldn't get there. So I had a bus, an old bus that I got donated, and we just ripped out the seats and we used it there. And then when I came to the city of Richmond, I think one of the reasons they hired me is because I'd done a bus before and they were like, that's such a great idea. We want to bring it to Richmond City. Truly, we started with another bus that we just pulled the seats out and put books in, and we travel the city handing out books to students because we're trying to instill that love of literature, love of reading, and that really comes from inside, and it becomes from having students having a choice, being able to choose what book they want to read. And during the school day, they're told what to read, when to read, how to read. The bus became a way for us to get books in the hands of our students, but also get books that they chose, that they want to read, whatever they wanted to read. If they wanted to read a picture book, a chapter book, they wanted to tackle a big one, they get to choose it. And also, it also provides access to books. A lot of our students here in the city of Richmond don't have home libraries, so they can't just get to even the public library. They don't have the transportation. So we were actually going into the neighborhoods with the bus and letting them choose books for their home library. They get to keep their books that they get to keep. And we have everything from board books all the way to young adult novels. And we have a whole bilingual section too that has Spanish. So we have a little bit of everything, just no adult books. It's all for 0 to 18.
I love the idea. I love that you're out there connecting with folks in your community. And I guess beyond just providing books to children, how does that Lit Limo really contribute to addressing other essential needs within your community and maybe even combating that summer slide that we always hear about?
Summer slide is a real thing. I wrote an article on it way back when I started because it is a definite thing that happens with our students when they don't have that interaction and reading during those summer months. So when the Lit Limo's out, we always have librarians on board, staffing, helping our students. And we also do during the summer, we will do read alouds. So we will actually go to community centers and read a book to the students, and then they get to come on in and choose their own book. So it's a way for us to model and work with fluency and all those other skills that go into reading, besides having that love of literature, a love of reading.
That is so fantastic, Judy. What an amazing opportunity. So what role do you think accessibility plays in promoting that literacy? And how does your Lit Limo help address some of those barriers that our children or their families might face in developing a love of learning?
Like I said, just having access to the books is so important. Access is critical. And when students don't have a home library to be able to have those books or don't have transportation to get to it, by us taking our bus into the neighborhoods, we're actually taking those books there and providing that access. And our Lit Limo has a wheelchair lift. So we're totally ADA compliant. And we allow all those students to come on board and be able to choose that book and have access. And of course, if they say to me, can I have 2 books today? I never say no. It's always, of course you can. If you found 2 books you can't decide, take them both. And then we also have a slide out the back of the bus. So they come on the front of the bus, they choose a book, they get a little prize, and they get to slide out the back end of the bus, which is always, it's a great enticement to come to the Lit Limo also.
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine. I want to get on the Lit Limo right now. I think that sounds so much fun.
And we have partnered with a lot of other community groups in helping hand out materials and flyers, and we work with Blue Sky Science, and we'll do joint events together. And we work a lot of different community events too, so with different churches to be able to help with that access.
Yes, that is so amazing. So could you share maybe a memorable interaction or experience, or maybe a success story that you have from students or their families who have come to your Lit Limo?
There are so many. There are a lot of success stories, but I think we started the Lit Limo here in Richmond the summer of 2020. So it was hard. That was in the middle of COVID. So we were virtual. We were following the food buses around the city. So when the people would come out to get the food, we'd get breakfast and lunches. We would also have them, we were feeding their souls and their minds too with the books. But after doing that for the whole first year, we were virtual. I think the first time I had a student return to me and they started requesting books, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. It still gives me goosebumps, because that means when they start asking for a particular type of book, that means that they are really reading and they are really wanting, desiring that particular book they're asking for, whether it was a genre, they wanted a mystery book. That really lets you know that you are making an impact. That was just like, woof, such a moment. And that's just one of the times where they come in and they say, oh, I really wanted to get a mystery, or I really want a book about animals. And that really lets you know that we're getting that love of reading. And that's one of our main goals.
Absolutely.
Because the rest of it, the learning will follow. When you have that love of reading, everything else will just fall in place.
Exactly. When you have that excitement and that desire to connect with the page, I think that's just tremendous. So you mentioned that you collaborated with some churches, some other organizations. You also mentioned that you have a school librarian on the bus to be able to help folks out on your Lit Limo. So what other community organizations or stakeholders, other educators perhaps, collaborate to really support that Lit Limo's mission?
We have about 20 community partners that we work with on a regular basis now. It's quite a long list. I think part of it was when we first started, I was on the bus every day, and it was a great way to outreach. We were out there. We were very visible. We did have a couple tragedies that got us some press, which was good press on the back, not on the front end, but on the back end, allowed us to really have a presence in the community. But we do partner with community centers, with many churches, and a lot of the museums in Richmond. We partner with the art galleries. It is just an incredible opportunity to have that outreach.
It sounds like you have tremendous support from lots of different stakeholders, which is wonderful, and supporting that mission and getting you out there, particularly with underserved areas. So, Judy, it seems like you have clearly experienced the benefits of lifelong learning firsthand. So how do you continue to grow and innovate in your role in Richmond City Public Schools?
And that goes right back to my first class with Dr. Audrey Church and with Francis Reeve. They were so excited and stressed the fact of always giving back and always being involved in your professional organizations. And I think being involved in the state librarian organization and also the National American Association of School Librarians is so important. And it also leads to always improving yourself, lifelong learning. And that's what our standards, our National School Library Standards, really emphasize lifelong learning. And I think it's like just ingrained in what we do, and it was ingrained in all of our classes. And Audrey and Francis was really good about tapping folks to do things. And she's what who really first got me involved in the national organization. I knew it was important to be a member and to participate. And once you get in there and you really start helping, the amount of knowledge is passed back and forth, and the collaboration and the professional developments that are available through our state and national organization are just amazing. There's no other word for it. They're amazing. Our librarians love to share what they do. Most of them are all very passionate and excited about it. So it's just a wonderful experience.
It sounds like it's a wonderful experience, and you have certainly continue to grow in your craft, and you've continued to give back as well. So helping out even as an alumna on our Longwood Graduate Alumni Collaborative, helping out and being a voice there. I think you have a powerful voice with lots of experience to share. And I know you mentioned two particular colleagues here at Longwood who have helped shape you. But looking back on your experiences here at Longwood University, are there any specific courses or other mentors or maybe learning opportunities that stand out to you that were particularly influential in shaping your career path and also your growth?
Yeah. And I think because I was also getting my master's of education, I had to get those education classes. I met some really incredible professors that just the way their excitement about the topic, when you take human growth development, that sounds okay, but they actually made it exciting and engaging. And you could see, I could see where that would really just translate to what you do in either a classroom or a school library. And I even took, and I know it's not offered anymore, a mini session between fall semester and spring semester that's like over a winter break, which is like crazy. And that was with Dr. Powers. And I'll never forget her because she was we had one in-person day and it was snowing and she just piled in so much information. Nobody wanted to leave, even though the snow was piling up outside. We were all in Farmville. But she was just, and like I said, engaging that nobody wanted to leave the classroom. So even though we all had to drive somewhere in 6 to 8 inches of snow, that doesn't happen anymore.
I love the way that you mentioned the connection to the content and also to practice and being able to glean information from courses, even if you don't feel like they're directly related to your practice, that they end up being interconnected in pretty powerful ways. So what advice might you give to aspiring librarians or educators who are passionate about making a difference in their communities like you have?
Yeah, I think the best advice is just to stay connected with your Longwood folks and use those connections and access to information that they have. I also think that being a part of Longwood has cohorts for their librarianship classes. And we have hosted one where I got to sit in, I monitor the school when they come and have their cohort. And so I've gotten to watch Carl and Carla and Jen and Audrey all deliver classes over the last 2.5, 3 years. So they're all amazing instructors, professors. They all are very good. Love them all. They're just so knowledgeable and so friendly and helpful. But being a part of a cohort is a great opportunity that I think lets you really progress at a natural rate and have help from your folks around you.
I think we do that well here at Longwood, building a sense of family and connection among cohorts and program members. And so I really appreciate you sharing that and hearing how that's impacted you, but also how you're observing it still in action through cohorts beyond yours.
I enjoy hosting it because I get to see all these brand new people that are trying to be librarians. So I also am recruiting while they're there.
Well, thank you, Judy.
Always recruiting. We're getting ready to start another cohort here. So I'm excited for the next batch of school librarians that will be trained like they should from Longwood. Longwood does an excellent job in like raising librarians.
That's excellent and great feedback, and particularly for folks who are looking to become librarians, knowing that Longwood's program both will prepare you with the content that you need to be successful, but also with the connections that you need to stay successful once you get out into the field. So I want to back up just a little bit about your Lit Limo experience, but also connected with what you just shared about some advice for aspiring librarians. If someone wanted to do this, to build a Lit Limo, to start some sort of an outreach like you have to promote literacy, what would be their first steps?
Now, first step is getting that vehicle. That is the very first step. And I have helped some other folks throughout the state and in the country that have reached out to say, hey, we're thinking about doing it here. What did you do? How did you get started? The first 2 buses I had were donated buses. So because there wasn't an extra bus. And we just took out the seats and put in plywood shelves, and you can use anything. It is amazing how the books, it doesn't matter how they get there, that is the fact that they do get there. They get to the neighborhoods. And that's the important piece. It doesn't matter what the bus looks like or what it looks like on the outside or inside, but the people that come with the bus that are excited about reading and are excited about books and just getting those books to the community is where it's at. That's the bottom line. But any vehicle will work. Any van. I used a van for a while. When we lost our OG lit limo, it blew a head gasket 2 summers ago, and we had another one that we were getting ready to convert, and it went up in a garage fire. So for a while, I had no bus, and I was using a white panel van with lit limo magnets on the side. Well, it was a little scary because I'm taking a white panel van into neighborhoods. That's the things that you hear, oh, that's dangerous. Don't go to the white panel van. But it's just the fact of getting those books to them. And I've written a lot of grants to get books, and we take donations from the community. It's amazing how many people will support you. We use gently loved books and brand new books on the lit limo. And there's a lot of corporations that will help with literacy too. So they realize how important it is for their future employees. So corporations are a great way to help fund a bookmobile.
Well, that's excellent advice and lots of different tips and strategies to get started. What does the future hold for Judy Deichman and the Lit Limo, and how can our listeners support you or get involved in your mission?
So we have a brand new Lit Limo that we just got in April, and she's beautiful. She has air conditioning. She has an onboard generator. She has wheelchair lift. She has chrome wheels. She's painted bright blue with a big peacock on the hood. And so it's very exciting because now we have 2 lit limos. So a lot of times when we were having 2 events, we had to choose which one we could go to. And now we actually can go to more than one event at a time. Our reach is getting wider, that's the bottom line. That's the good part. That is the exciting part where we can reach more students. And
absolutely.
Just helping our students get home libraries is the best thing ever. And of course, always supporting our state organization and our national organization. That's always a big part of my heart too. So it's part of my passion is to give back and help those future librarians that are coming along, because the library is the best place in the school to work.
I appreciate so very much you sharing your pieces of advice, your wisdom with us today. Any last nuggets you'd like to share with us today?
Just go find a good book. And read.
Great advice.
Read to your children and read to other students. You could be your neighbor's child, but everybody should be reading to children.
I agree with you. Thank you so much, Judy. We appreciate you very much being here today.
No, thank you. I enjoyed the opportunity.
And thanks to everyone for listening. We'll see you next time on Longwood GradCast Beyond the Degree. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Longwood GradCast Beyond the Degree. We hope these stories have sparked motivation and empowerment, shining a spotlight on the incredible potential within Longwood's graduate and professional studies community. Leadership is in our blood. Is it in yours? We're here to support your educational journey and career aspirations. To explore our graduate programs and professional endorsement, head over to our website at longwood.edu/grad programs.